going back and forth with this crap is like so.
See, my thing is, y'all, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell y'all like it is. When it comes down to all this trans stuff, transformers, or whatever you want to call them, because they can't make up their mind which one they want to transform into. So, you can't decide on male or female. Hey, I just call you Shim. So it'd be like S for the she part and him for the him part. There you go.
I'm gonna be for real, Professor. I'm gonna be for real, Professor. I don't even want to bring them up because I don't even want to conjure up no spirits tonight to come up in here. So they can stay where the hell they at. As far as I'm concerned, stay and do your thing and this and that or whatever. So we gonna go in though about some of these news reels, man, that's been going on with these kids and stuff. Shout out to you, Jay. Some of the stuff going on with these kids at these daycares and these elementary schools. Black History Month, it really done brought the rednecks out the woodwork. Every time you turn around, either they got little black kids picking cotton, singing old Dixie. They up here taping their mouth shut. Up here, they putting they dressing little white kids up in blackface. So yeah, man, we got to touch up on some things tonight, man, because this is just this Black History Month really rubbed a lot of white folks the wrong way this year. And I guess apparently it rubbed a lot of Asians the wrong way as well too. What's up, the company? So we got to go ahead and chop it up. Last night was a great space, but I'm gonna tell everybody tonight we gonna stay on topic. We was on topic for the most part, and then it started going to all this psychology and sociology and nah, bro. We gonna stay like last night. I should have kept it right on the two topics: the hidden museum and the NAACP Image Awards. I'm not trying to hear all about what's the trauma and all that kind of stuff. That you can hold another space for that, but we gonna keep it on topic tonight, straight up. And I'm gonna tell everybody that come up here to speak, these are the two topics. We not going from A to Z, straight up. We not doing all that. We gonna stay on topic.
It's great to see the sister people think up in here. I was listening to this sister the other night in another space, so I hope we'll get the chance to hear from her tonight in this space. She was kicking some knowledge over there in the other space.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I say, and the mic is always open, so definitely thank people if you want to come up and the night when we start getting into the actual topic, you want to go ahead and kick something, then by all means just go ahead and raise your hand, request to speak, raise your hand, and we'll get to you. So we're gonna go ahead, and I see my man Original just got up in here as well too. Shout out to Original. So yeah, man, we got to go in, man, because like I say, every time we turn around, you got preschoolers up here. You got little preschools. They got little preschoolers wearing damn blackface. Like, I mean, when does the blackface stuff ever stop here? So I got to touch up on that. Got to touch up on this child in Massachusetts daycare, 2-year-old having a temper tantrum, and you got this Amy Lee. She decides to go ahead and tape the little child's mouth closed and whatnot, because she didn't want the child to disturb the other one sleeping and stuff. So I don't know what the hell, what the hell we got going on. Like, you gonna tape a 2-year-old child's mouth shut because they're crying, they're having a temper tantrum? What children do? Nah. I can tell you what, these sets of mothers are a little bit different than the ones I grew up with. I'm just put it that way.
You ain't never lied. That was an ass whooping all day.
Major ass whooping. She would have never shut no other child's mouth. She would never take no other child's mouth shut again like that. I can promise you that. God rested dead to my mom. You damn sure wasn't gonna take my mouth shut at no 2 years old. You weren't gonna take my mouth shut at 6 years old and get away with that. So yeah, like I say, I don't know what's up with some of this stuff going on, man, but shout out to my girl Tony too. I see she's up in the spot as well too. So we're gonna go ahead and just get ready to touch up on this. DJ, I know you probably out and about working, man, but shout out to you as well too.
Yeah, shout out to the family. I'm up here. Yeah. Plantation out in the bad weather, but let's get it. Newstoter.
Oh yeah. We go ahead and get ready to go in on this thing, y'all, man. Y'all know the routine. Y'all want to speak, y'all go ahead and raise your hand. We got some of our people up in early. The rest will start filtering in as well too. So go ahead and touch up on this. This article was it's also up in the Jumbotron as well too, man. Y'all get a chance. If you want to go ahead and share it out, make sure you go ahead and share it out. For those that's not in here, go ahead and tweet it out. It's up in the Jumbotron on the top right hand side. It's titled, "What else are you teaching our kids? Parents furious at Miami preschool after they claim teacher put Children in Blackface. This article was published by Atlanta Black Star, of course, curator on the Newstoter.com platform. So let me go ahead and dig in this real quick. A Miami preschool faced backlash from parents after a teacher allegedly put students in blackface to teach a lesson about Black History Month. According to the Miami Herald, two parents from Studio Kids location in Miami's Little River District sent Little River District sending photos of the preschool toddlers covered in blackface and dressed up in costumes. The photos showed one student wearing a construction outfit with blackface and another student wearing a police uniform with blackface. It is unclear what the content of the lesson was. Courtney Politis is a Black mother of one of the students in the teacher's class where the alleged incident took place, and she was outraged. Her children weren't present, but she was told by a parent that the assignment was for students to dress up as different professions, including construction worker and police officer. You should know better as an educator, Politis told the Miami Herald. What else are you teaching our kids? Politis is just one of several parents that expressed their frustrations with the demonstrations. The pictures were shared in their parent group chat first last Friday. Then Politis reached out to Studio Kids director Patricia Vitale through text message. This is racist, according to Politis screenshot. I'm sorry, Vitale responded. A lot of moms are concerned, replied Politis. Then stated she was unaware of what was going on and replied, what is racist? Vitale received a further explanation, proceeded to send out a mass text message to parents. We have not intended to offend anyone, and we're sorry about any inconvenience, said in a text message, according to screenshots. The parents that know us know that we have never had a bad intention in our institution. Politis is the only reported parent that has withdrawn her daughter from the school, but other parents spoke out to the media anonymously. It is blatant and pure ignorance, or you just did it on purpose and you're playing stupid, in my opinion, Politis told the local station WSVN. A parent who wanted to remain anonymous said her child wasn't part of the presentation but still thought it was inappropriate. Little River has 3 locations in Miami-Dade that primarily serve infants and toddlers, 2 locations in Little River and another one in Buena Vista. The school where the blackface incident took place is primarily Latino, including the teacher. According to the parents that spoke out, the tuition for the preschool is reported to cost up to $1,500 a month. Andrea Quealy, an anthropology professor at Florida International University, says that she has studied Cuba, African diaspora, and race. One of the arguments in Latin America is making defense of their anti-blackness is that it's cultural or that racism doesn't exist, that it's a problem in the U.S. where there was Jim Crow segregation and not the same interracial nation-building project, said Quealy. Local station NBC Miami reported that Politis said the teacher apologized to her for the blackface incident and explained she is Argentinian and that it was a cultural tradition in their country. I'm shocked and somewhat destabilized, an anonymous parent told the Miami Herald. How do I trust him to make the decision about what to show my toddler? Vitale ensured the situation was resolved, but didn't go into further details. The issue is resolved already. 80% of the families are okay, Vitale told the Herald. She also stated that any further questions should be directed toward her lawyer. Reactions from social media show support for the parents and criticize the school for thinking this would be a good lesson. How does this still happen? There is no situation that using blackface is okay. So the fact that people still routinely get called out for this is just crazy and stupid. Like, what part of your brain thought this would go well? Seriously, is there such a teacher in the U.S. that has been to college and studied Civil War going to paint blackface on preschool children and think this is all right? The teacher should be removed and get a job away from teaching any children, said Nathan in response to a Yahoo News post. So, yeah, I don't. And the fact that this chick talked about she's from Argentina, like, that makes it any better. And the one thing about Argentina is that you can't tell them, though, because if you met people from Argentina and they sweated, they didn't have any, like, it's no black people there. Like, they didn't have any slavery touch that part of South America. That all the slavery was in Brazil. The Argentinians are some of the most racist people they are. They swear they had nothing to do with slavery whatsoever. So you got a bunch of infants and toddlers up here at this preschool, and they decide to go ahead and start putting people in blackface. And I find it interesting, not interesting at all, because it's pretty much known that I figured that the area would be predominantly Latino. I figured that much right there. So $1,500 a month for your child to be insulted. That's how much they're paying to send these kids to this little preschool, this little rinky-dink preschool. $1,500 a month for them to go ahead and have the little white kids and Latino kids and the rest of them dressing up in blackface. And for somebody, and now we want to play the dumb part. You got a lot of Latinos, a lot of Hispanics want to sit up here and act like racism when they know damn well that Latin America was also a slave colony, that the actual vitriol that they had in Latin America rivaled that in America. And Brazil, slavery didn't end in Brazil to what, the 1870s? So now we want to sit up here and act like you guys didn't have any slavery. Cuba was bad with slavery and this and that, but because they had because that they, like they said, they gave the illusion that you had a lot of these mixed children and stuff like that, and they gave them their last name, still treat them like niggas. So here we go with this whole thing that we didn't know about this, and this is unfortunate. And now you want to sit up here and blame Jim Crow when y'all was just as bad with the goddamn slavery going on in Latin America. The company, what's going on, man? How you doing tonight? I'm gonna go ahead and kick it to you.
I'm doing great, and I'm a little bit of a history buff myself, in these type of matters. But the furthest back that I can gauge, or that I found myself, tracing where does blackface come from, and in the Spanish community. And I say on the Spanish side because I'm just gonna assume that this person from Argentina, grew up around this Spanish culture, and it goes back to all the way back to Spain. Probably they started doing this culture, probably like I would say a couple hundred years ago. So like 200 years ago, and they do this whole thing in Spain where they put black on their face, and they dress up with the with the Moorish fez hats and all the other stuff, and they're kind of like mimicking the Moors and the people that they kicked out of their country, basically. So the Spanish conquering the Moors was a big thing for them, and they kind of celebrate that. I don't know if it's year to year or anything. I didn't look that far into it, but that's as far back as I can date that they've been doing this blackface type of acting in Europe, and somehow it brought its way to America.
All right, appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it has historical roots. I don't know how far it goes back, but I know over here in Americas, especially in this country, they love to do blackface, and then you have a bunch of other places throughout the world also love to do it. They've had clips of people over there in Asia doing it, in China and Japan as well too. But people, when they do it, they like to go and play stupid. They like to play dumb, like, oh well, we didn't know this was offensive. They'll sit up here and tell you that they thought it was a way of tribute to you, that they were imitating you. It should be flattery on your behalf. So they'll sit up here and they'll play stupid. They'll play dumb. They'll sit up here and tell all kind of lies and whatnot when they know damn well it was meant as a sick joke to go ahead and diss black people. Original, go ahead. And real quick, Original, Miss Giselle, I see what you posted too about Argentina. Like I say, Argentina has completely erased black people up out of their history, and they want to sit up there and act like not a black slave came through that country. They want to sit up there and play stupid. There's not a part of the Americas that they didn't have slaves in this hemisphere. So they want to sit up here and play stupid and dumb. And Argentina is one of the biggest ones that like to play dumb. They want to act like it was all Brazil and Peru and the rest of them. And hey, we were just sitting here and it was just a bunch of white folks and a few Indians, and we all got along fine and this and that. Stop trying to drag us down with this evil history. But no, you was thick in it as well too. You got it, Original. Then we're gonna go to you, Miss Giselle.
Yeah, let me say this. What the company was saying what they also do in Spain is that they dress up in clan-like uniforms when they're doing those so-called reenactments or whatever. they dress up in Klan uniforms as well. And I can't remember exactly what it's called. But also too, what I want to say too is that
it's called the Negro.
Okay.
You kind of was breaking up a little bit, Ray. It was called a Negro what?
Negro Brotherhood of Seville, Spain.
Yeah, that's it. Seville. And see, and we have to look at this too, because this is exactly why. And I'm going to continue to say this. See, my mother taught me as a child. She said, white folks gonna be white folks. I don't care where you put them. They ain't gonna be right. They ain't gonna act right. They ain't gonna do right, because they just ain't right. So don't ever have any faith, trust, or belief in them, because they will fail you every time. Now, we all just saw what happened with the Los Angeles City Council, where those racist Spanish-speaking people, how they were trying to jerry-rig the district to take power from black folks. See, this is not a coincidence. See, back in the 90s, a lot of us launched a boycott against Goodyear. And I have to see if I can't find it, but there was a South American country, and it might have been Argentina, but it was either Peru or Argentina. They had a commercial down there comparing black lips to tires. That's why I don't buy Goodyear tires. I won't go to a Goodyear auto repair shop today, because this is and like you said, Newstoter, these people do this stuff, and then they try to use the excuse, oh, I didn't know. I thought we were just no, you knew exactly what you was doing. And so, and we have to look at this, and this is why I keep telling black folks. See, you got black folks now, what they're trying to do now is trick black folks and get black people to give them the authority to allow them to teach their children their history. And once you do that, it's a wrap. If people have never treated you right, they're not going to teach. We're already having issues with the school system as it is. But to give your enemy the authority to teach your child who they are, that's one of the worst mistakes you can make. And this shows just how some black people are not willing to put the work in and educate their children. This is insane. You taking your child to a killing field, and then it's bad enough you got to take the child to the killing field, but to give the evil that operate the killing field the authority to teach your child their history, oh, that's just insane. And then you got to look at the fact that in these Spanish-speaking countries, because remember, this was like this might have been like around between 2010 and 2013. There was an issue with this little stamp down in Mexico, where it had I forget what they called the little guy, but he had these big overly protruding lips and this, that, and whatever. And because they were somehow it came out, they were trying to call white folks racist. And then we looked at it and said that no, y'all racist yourself, because I think the guy name is Casper Wanga or something like that. Well, he had a slave revolt down in Mexico, and you got this guy. He was the governor of California. His name is Pia Pico. You look at him, jet black, full lips and everything, but he had a brother that looked European. And when I was doing research on that, because I found out about this when I was in California, they said that his brother looked normal. See, this isn't in their DNA when it comes to black people. And Newstoter, I put it in the chat, whereby these small hats, this just happened in 2022, I think, whereby they were dressing their kids up in blackface and afro wigs. It was for one of their holidays. I mean, this is insane when it comes to other groups. And this is why I tell people, group, look, I don't give a damn about you, okay? Because you all have done any correction on the vehement racism you have for black folk. So don't come to me when somebody attack you. I don't want to hear it. I'm just not going to address it. And not only that, but if you do a search for Confederacy in South America, I think it's either Brazil or one of these countries. They still
It's Brazil.
Okay, it's yeah. They still they dress up every year in these antebellum clothes like the Confederacy. And see, some Confederates went down there after the Civil War, and they still honor these people today. This is ingrained in these people. There is no it's like Dr. Claude Anderson taught us. Hispanic, Latinos, whatever you want to call them, they just white folks who speak Spanish, and that's it. So people have to understand that Dr. Clark taught us. We don't have any friends. This is why you don't see me jumping out there when other groups come under attack, because they're not going to do the same for us. And there is a website, if you do a search for this site right here, Forgotten Latino History. I think the site is ForgottenLatinoHistory.blogspot.com. And this brother has put together this site whereby he shows you that how these Spanish-speaking people, how they hate black folks. During the Civil Rights Movement, they were trying to get themselves classified as being white. They did not give a damn about black people. And this is why, but they benefited from the affirmative action and everything else that our people got out there and bled and died for. Then here they come bringing their janky selves back out here, and they want to benefit from. No, you need to go somewhere else. We're done. We're no longer in the business of helping other folks. We're gonna have to help ourselves first, And so, but that site and it just showed there's this. You may have heard of this site not site, but this organization called LULAC. And they said, this one guy said that he said he didn't care about the Negroes. The Negro was on their own, and he was not trying to ally with the Negroes. And they said some other pejorative things too. This is ingrained in their DNA. Those people, I don't care where they come from. If they speak Spanish, they for damn sure don't like black folks. And I'm gonna land with that.
All right, Miss Giselle and Black Native, I'm gonna get to you guys in just a second. I want to touch up on this article real quick. This other one, the second of the second story for the night, just so you guys can kind of get an understanding of where we're headed for the night. We was just in Miami talking about the actual preschoolers dressing up in blackface company. I'm gonna get to you as well too. Now we're gonna move all the way up north, and we're gonna go up to Massachusetts. This is also in the Jumbotron. You can see on the far right, it's titled, "She Exposed My Child to That Type of Torture. Outraged Mom Says Daycare Worker Taped 2-year-old's Mouth Shut and Tried to Cover Her Tracks." This is also published by Atlanta Black Star, curator on the Newstoter.com platform. And it's up in the Jumbotron. So you guys on the far right, you guys go ahead and get a chance and retweet this out so people can actually read this as well. A Massachusetts daycare worker is facing charges after the mother of a 2-year-old filed a police report claiming the worker taped her daughter's mouth shut. On Thursday, February 6th, Nyasia Holmes, the child's mother, reported that Amy Lai of Here We Grow Daycare in Randolph taped her daughter mouth shut because she was having a tantrum and the caretaker didn't want her to disturb other children. Boston 25 News reports Holmes filed a report with Randolph Police Department. The 26-year-old caretaker faces charges of reckless endangerment of a child and assault and battery and has been issued a summons to appear in Quincy District Court at a later date. Holmes, who also filed a report with the Department of Children and Families, said she wants to know why she reported what she says her daughter experienced at the police, but the daycare didn't. Holmes took to Facebook to tell her story, saying her daughter had been going to the facility for a year before the incident. Holmes also noted that she was mortified when she learned what happened to the child on that particular day. I was informed by a person who did this to my child that she put tape on my child's mouth in a playing manner. Holmes said, adding that another person witnesses and that Lie only told her what happened because someone else has seen the incident and complained about it. And lie was she informed me what actually took place and my child was trying to cover her tracks. She continued, I then called the other party and got the actual story. She had my child in a thinking chair with tape on her mouth because she was having a tantrum and she was going to wake up the other kids. Every child was sleeping but mine. Holmes said another staff member witnessed part of the reported incident and informed the center's director. According to Holmes' social media post, the incident happened around 3 p.m. on the afternoon of Thursday, February 16th, and the incident was reported to the director around 5:27 p.m. She added that she picked up her child at 6 p.m. and that it wasn't until the next morning that the person who did this to my child and not the director informed her. Holmes blasted Here We Grow Daycare, saying, why do you think it was okay to put a 2-year-old in a thinking chair and obstruct her breathing and talking? You will never do this to another child. And moms should feel safe about being at work and knowing that their kids are okay, she said. Holmes said, I'm angry that she exposed my child to this type of torture. She also expressed that she thinks this wasn't the first time something like this had happened, according to Daily Beast. Holmes, after reporting the act to officials, asked to have a meeting with the director and Lie. I requested a meeting with all parties, she wrote. The director was literally doing the report during the meeting at 12 p.m. The mother said during the meeting, Lie never apologized for what she did to the young child. I was an abused child, she said. She shared, this is causing me so much distress because I do everything in my power to protect my child. Holmes videotaped her child explaining the incident with her limited vocabulary. The child imitates getting popped on the hands. When I ask my child if this person boo boo her, she puts her hands out like she hit hers, and there she says the person's name, not nice. The mom said in a long post before writing, I just want justice for my child. So who knows what all was going on with this kid at this actual daycare. This is not the first time apparently that they did this to this child, popping hands, taping up kids. I mean, like I said, that's why I want to go ahead and follow up the other story with this one right here too. So, Miss Giselle, I'm gonna go ahead and let you unmute your mic. Then I'm gonna get to you, Black Native.
Yes, these stories are, it's a lot, but at the same time, and hey everybody, I'm sorry, I just kind of jumped in and started speaking. Hey everybody in the space. When I was listening to the first part of the story, I remember like doing a little bit of studying on Argentina and a lot of the things that they've done. There was a couple of people I've listened to that talked about Argentina, which made me kind of investigate it a little bit. But the fact is, they really did wing out their Black racists in their country. It wasn't like they were always this white group. It was a huge Black population, almost half. It was like 37%, according to to the sources that I shared in the chat. But those eugenics programs, a lot of things eugenic based, was pushed through Argentina. Argentina had all of those. You had, like they said, about 300 scientists from Germany, Nazi Germany, that escaped to Argentina. It's even believed that Hitler, in like the conspiracy world, Hitler allegedly escaped there himself until he died. But with these situations, I think that a lot of times people think, oh yeah, it's a Hispanic, because they tried to paint this fake narrative that these people had a camaraderie with us. We have something in common. You know, the Americans were all enslaved for, so long by the big scary white man, right? But the whole time it's like it was way more to it than that. A lot of these people, they were winged out, and as they got lighter, they gained relevance and a certain level of respect in their communities. So they kind of they look forward to whitening themselves. They keep the Black genes and whiten themselves up so that they can assimilate into white culture. But these people come here with an open hatred for us because they hate themselves. They hate their relatives, their distant relatives, their grandmothers and grandfathers. Black can be. But I think this is important that this is happening because one, it's putting an eye. It's kind of revealing, like saying, look, these people are not friends, and you can't keep saying these are lone wolf situations. These are cluster situations. These are a lot of people that have the same ideologies. So now they can't hide behind the people of color veil anymore. That's being lifted quickly as more and more people get deposited into our country. I noticed that when it's a couple of them in the community, you don't see a lot of them, being aggressive. They kind of assimilate, be real kind. But as soon as they dominate in the community, the change of attitude towards you, that's when you see it. But I think this is good because this is going to let people see, these people who have their kids in these places, if they grew up with no issues, they're the ones that would grow up and say, I don't see color, nothing's happened, nothing to see here. And they would fight against our kids who are getting attacked out here by these groups. It's good that these parents are seeing it. One, so they can, get their kids out now. But two, we're now, all we have is us. And this centers our situation even more. Another thing that I wanted to say was, I wrote something down. Oh, the psycho mentalities of these white folks. They can try to pretend like they care as much as they want. Eventually, it always seeps out. It doesn't matter how hard they try to suppress it. Their evilness seeps out. And I believe that they're doing all of this type of stuff, even with the trials in the schools, to see how far they can go. And the last thing is, when they're doing these situations to these kids, they're doing it intentionally. Just like when you introduce like sexuality to kids early, it's like stays with them. But so does trauma, right? Well, sexuality with a lot of these kids is getting a trauma, yes. So in this case, is they're experiencing this trauma. And it's like, because of who you are, what you look like, what you can't change, this is why you're treated like this. While at the same time they're doing that to our kids, they're hiding the evil behind the story. They kind of put an innocence with it as they feed it to their kids, because they're trying to position their kids to be over top of our kids. And they weaken the spirit of our kids, which that low self-esteem leads to them feeling like they deserve everything they get, that happens to them. So I think these were conditioning processes that's put in place. I think this is something that we don't get the memo on, but white supremacy and their allies get the memo on, and they inflict it, because it's not just in Florida. This stuff is happening across the entire country. Long story short, our people need to we need to get grounded now. All those people that thought that they could hide behind the people of color and find a safe space and then try to assimilate and say they see no racism and we're all the same. Now they don't have a safe space, so all they can do is ride with our fight here. So I'll end by saying the revolution will be televised.
Thank you. And what I find about this story, in the first story, you had a woman from Argentina. The second story, her name is Amy Lai. So she sounds like she's Asian. So you can see the actual minorities and stuff like that. All of them pretty much getting a swipe in here on these kids right here. So you had somebody from Argentina, then you had this lady here who appears to be Asian as well too. The first story with the kids in Blackface, then Miami. Now we travel all the way up to Massachusetts, and we got this going on. We got this woman up here taping up a 2-year-old's mouth, talking about a 2-year-old, a baby, because that's what a 2-year-old is a baby, having a temper tantrums. Well, yeah, babies tend to have temper tantrums. I mean that's pretty much part of being a child, being a baby. So, and not only that, from what the baby seems to be applying to the mother, apparently somebody's been popping on their hands as well too at that school as well too. And what I find also is that it seems like none of the directors or none of the people that actually own the actual operations know anything about what's going on at these places. It's not until an incident actually occurs or happens like that now, they have to try to scramble and see exactly what's going on. Like the mother said, yeah. Like the mother said, nobody filed a report with children and families. She had to file like she had to file a police report and this and that. Nobody at the school decided to go ahead and file a report with children and families as well either. So they don't know anything that's going on at these places that they own, that they're at all day. So I just find that just a little bit surprising there.
They got cameras all over these places now. You know what I mean? So it's not that they don't know. They've been waiting to see how much they can get away with until they get caught and then they cry foul. They enjoy inflicting torture on our people. They never stop. It's never been a point in the history of us, like with us documenting this, if they ever stop being physically abusive to our people in any way. And that's all of these people. They don't even, like, it's all of them. But yeah, they know what's going on. They just don't say anything until it's called out.
Absolutely. And in the first story, they're paying $1,500 a month to send their kids to this preschool where they putting kids in blackface. So you having to pay an arm and a leg to send your kids to a place that you think that they're going to be safe at. And not only that, you're paying an arm and leg, like I say, and then you got to worry about people doing blackface racist type tactics. This here, you have to worry about your child being basically gagged up. So I'm gonna kick it to you, Black Native. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Newstoter. What's up? Peace, Ray, DJ, Professor. Peace to the room.
What's
Mr.
up?
Zell. Yeah, I put some things. I put 2 articles. I couldn't put it in the jumbotron, so I put it in the comments. And it was what I think the company was speaking about. The Moors. The Spaniards dressing up in blackface, supposedly representing the Moors. They do that every Christmas. It's in the comments. I watched a documentary on it. If you go to Spain, they have all the children dressed like that. They don't think there's anything wrong with it. They wait for Santa Claus to come. It's like a ship, so they all get on this boat. I guess this is to represent when the Moors were ruling Spain for almost 800 years. And so when they finally got them out around 1492, coincidence, when that's when Europe started getting back into power again and started taking their racism on the road. But that's what that was about. And when I was watching the documentary, it showed in Spain, they have statues of the Moors. They have their planes have the picture of the Moors. They have all these different items and things in Spain, but they try to not acknowledge that Black people ruled them for 800 years and taught them how to bathe and wash their ass. So, yeah, pretty much most of these Spaniards, Argentinians, even Mexicans. I put another article, and this is what Original was speaking on. In Mexico, it's called I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's in the it's down there in the space. Mini penguin, and it's supposed to be a boy, a Black boy, but they have him looking like a monkey, and that's one of their famous cartoon characters in Mexico. So I don't want to hear nothing about Black and Brown. This Black and Brown coalition, and we all in this together. No, we not. We ain't never been in it together. Okay, so that was the myth. Thank God we're waking up, and they can't run game on us any longer. And the 2-year-old, look, back in the days, our parents, the teacher, I wish the teacher would. Even when I was growing my kids, I wish you would put your hands on my child. We was going up to the school. We was putting hands.
That's what I said earlier, Black Native. That's what I said earlier.
Hands, feet, pocketbook, and shoes on those teachers. They knew. Don't even play with us like that. Don't play with our children like that. And it's just been case after case. There was a video of them pushing down a little 4-year-old child, like Mr. Zell said. There's video cameras all in throughout these daycare centers and in these schools. They had another little Black boy threw his lunch away, and the lunch aide made him dig in the garbage and eat the food that he didn't want. They had another little Black boy. The toilet was stopped up. And this white nasty ass, I don't even want to say the word because, whatever, made him dig in the toilet and with feces in it. So this is what they've been doing to our children. And it's sad because we want to go to work. We want to be able to, provide for our children, but we got to worry about when we put them in daycare or in just when they're children, like elementary school, what's really going on? Because that's not the first time she's done that. Get best to believe that's not the first time she's done that. She's done that plenty of times because she felt comfortable doing it the first time. And I don't know if y'all remember, it was a newborn babies. I don't know if y'all remember this video. This was like about 4 years ago. These white nurses had black newborn babies and was shaking them and had them dancing like puppets. And they were brand newborn babies, and they got caught. And they thought it was a joke. And it was just another case where they slammed this black man. He had a Hispanic wife, but he was black. Slammed the baby down, and he caught her. I just saw this. I think it was yesterday. He caught her on video, slamming a brand new baby down. So they've been getting their rocks off, definitely abusing our children. They had the children in zoos. See, this is when we go for our reparations, and after we get it from the United States government, it's a whole lot of other people that we coming after. The Bronx Zoo, they had black people in the zoos. The Museum of Natural History, they had black people in their exhibits alive like they were animals. So it's a whole bunch of shit that this country has to pay for regarding our people. So, and I'll just land on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Black Native. You're right about that. What was it, last week or the week before, they had something about the kids. They had them picking cotton and stuff like that for Black History. Like, I mean, you literally can't make this stuff up. So you're right.
It's never ending. It's like next week is going to be something else. It's like they can't not stop. They cannot be right. Like Original said, they born that way. It's like you can't. What's made crooked, you can't make straight. And their spirit is not the same as our spirit. So we don't even vibe on that. You know what I'm saying? But they get off on that, and that's who they are. We gotta accept it.
Real talk, Professor. What's going on? You got it.
Yeah, what's up, there, bro? Newstoter, big DJ up in the house, late night host, everybody. The best in town, right there. And then Ray, what's up, bro? Black Native, beautiful queen. And I see Queen Kelsey up in there. There's Sister No Taxation, original. Good to hear you, brother. Always teaching. Mr. Engaging, Sister Trouble down there, Brother Leon, Sister Rera. And I see Sister Villa hanging down there. I'm surprised she's hanging down there because you know she want to get them words in. I know she'll be up here in a minute maybe. And to everybody in space, peace, power, and reparations. Y'all, I'm just going to make this brief. And I'm just going to go with what one of our legendary leaders said. And you can probably guess which legendary leader I'm talking about. What is his most famous quote that he told his people? Since we are talking about our children being taught by these no good ass people. And that is, only a fool will let his enemy teach his children. So who you think told us in the beginning that we needed to stop doing that?
Malcolm X.
There you go. And we still doing it, everybody. We still doing it. He told us a long time ago that we didn't need to do this. So I'm hoping that as Black parents, look at all these videos and just continue to look at all the stuff that's happening to our children and just happening to our people in general. That these people want to see us suffer. They want to see our children suffer. We need to be teaching our own kids. We need to pull these children out of these predominantly white institutions. We don't need to put them in these daycares with these folks. These folks don't give two fucks about our children. They don't give two fucks about us. So let's go with what the legendary leader told us. He told us. And we have to listen. I'm going to land my plane right there. Peace, power, and reparations, everybody.
Absolutely. Mr. Z, and this is a topic too that I definitely want to hear. I definitely we've heard Miss Giselle and we heard Black Native, but I know a lot of you sisters up in the space. You're either mothers or your aunts or sisters or something. But definitely, this is something I definitely like to hear just from a woman's perspective. Because, like I say, like Black Native said, like this is the kind of stuff that God rest her dead. My mother, she wouldn't even had this right here, straight up. Like if she would have found something out like that, she's going to that school and she's going to grab one of them women by their hair and just drag them up and down the street. And the fact that we have a lot of these sisters not doing that, it's great to go ahead and file a police report and this and that or whatever. But just the human side of you, the fact that you're not actually just slapping the absolute tar out of these women, I just can't really comprehend that. It's a different day to say the least. Because, like I say, my mom would have grabbed them, and I'll say this right here. I'm fortunate too. I'm fortunate because when I got ready to start school, my grandmother, she kept me. She watched me. She took care of me until it was time for me to actually go to school, to go to kindergarten or pre-K or whichever one it was back then. My mother, when I had kids, she retired at the time, and she was able to watch them. So I was fortunate in that as well too. So we had that actual protection from family, like because when you got the grandmother watching it and helping to raise and bring up your kids and stuff like that, that's just an added blanket of security. So we never, I never really had to worry about anything like that, because who's going to watch out for your kids better than the person that actually brought you into the world? So I always had that level of love and protection and stuff. And only thing you got to worry about is her spoiling the hell out of your kids and making them rotten. But that's what grandparents do. So but the fact of the matter that I mean, it's no way in hell somebody would take my mouth shut at 2 years old, and then this bitch had the nerve to sit up here and tell your mother that, and your mother then jump across that table and pile on her. No way. Just no way. You got it, Miss Giselle, and I'm gonna kick it to you, Mr. Engaging.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is again, like with these people, they got they got people restricted. Me, I'm like, I don't give a F. At a certain point, if you do something to my kids, it's war. But like a lot of these other people, like they're sitting there and they're the only, especially when you talk about it. This is why the whole single parent household was so important, because they get you into a position where you are 100% vulnerable. You can't risk losing your job. You can't risk having to take off to go to court. You can't get a case because you won't be able to get another job if you do lose your job. So they got people that's sitting there thinking about that. You got people that's sitting there. You got to work two jobs in a lot of these cases. A lot of these people are working two jobs. So what's going on in the school is like they're half paying attention to their kids, and then they trying to live up to these lifestyles online and be something, whatever the heck they want to be, to make everybody else excited when your whole life is falling apart. So it's a lot of that going on. But I wanted to bring attention to the fact that with all of these cases that's going on, again, they have been going on for a while, because they do this stuff until we do an outcry, then they go dormant for a little while. They'll go to the shootings. It'll be like a massive amount of shootings, then it goes to something else. Then they'll start go back around to this. But remember, for a minute, all of the kids was getting arrested in elementary school, like 6-year-olds. I posted in the chat the articles of like the little 6-year-old girl that was arrested because she had a temper tantrum. Here it is. These white boys can go and shoot up a whole building, and they get walked out the same way a 6-year-old child would get walked out in cuffs. That does not add up. First of all, a 6-year-old should not be in cuffs, period. Second of all, they feel like they have to traumatize our kids because they won't unsee that. They understand the power in the early damage that they do to our children. And they also know the power of creating this, see, this is why we have to do this image for their own kids. Because they're trying to tell them indirectly to say, look, you got to rule over these people, and this is how you do it. They don't like the fact that a lot of their kids were rebellious. And they was like, oh, no, I got black friends. And then they was like leaving their family for the black friends, having black babies. This was not the plan. The plan was to pretend as if it was a free world while they was inflicting torture on us until they eliminated us. But they go so far that they make everything becomes revealed because they're compulsive. So if you look at how these systems are doing it, they're just systematically positioning these kids. The only time you get an accolade and you get protection is if you cut off your private parts. The only time that you're going to get accolades and protection is if you do what we deem as something that's noble, like kissing your best homegirl that you play Barbie dolls with. That's something that you get awards for. Not loving your father and your mother, not respecting your mother and father. So the goal is to get our kids into a position where they go against nature, because nature kind of gives you confidence. When you're going with nature, you have that confidence, you have a whole lot of other stuff that comes with that, and you fight back in a different way. You have something that you're standing on. If they're telling you you don't know who you are, or the word, not even nature knew who you were. You had to think of it yourself. It's all right. We'll help you out with nature. We know how messed up you are. This is the mentality they're inserting into these kids, and they're preparing that for the next generation. So long story short, we do need to get our own schools. We do need to take our kids back, but we got to also consider the situations that restrict people from doing so and figure out some ways around that in our life.
I appreciate that, Miss Giselle. And I'm going to say this again about my mom. Like, I can't speak about nobody else, mom. She was married to my dad 50 some years. My dad wouldn't have been able to control my mom had this happened. He would have talked out of it. He would have tried to talk out of it, and she would have told him she didn't want to hear it. She would have went down to that school. She would have called one of my aunts to make sure that they could get me and take me with her, because she was going to drag that woman in that damn daycare all across the room. If she found out that woman had went up there and taped up her son, she would have dragged her. And there's nothing my father could have done. He would have tried to talk to her, but there's nothing that he could have done to talk my mom out of it. That's just how she was when it came. My mom, even she got up in her age, and she would have found out that was one of her grandkids, and they did that. Older she would have been there, she'd have been up there trying to fight him. So I know goodness well if she was 30, 31 years old, and she found out that they took her 2-year-old son and had him taped up, bound and gagged up there in a daycare, yeah, it would have went down. I'm just being honest. My mom, she worked for the state for 30 some odd years and everything. She would have put that state job just would have been on the line, just straight up. She was going to grab that woman and she was going to drag her and whoop her ass, and she was going to have one of my aunts, once they did arrest her, go ahead and take me home with them until my dad can come and put that bail money out. That's just the way she was. She wasn't going to go for nothing like that. That woman would have got her ass whooped, and anybody else up in that damn daycare that would have stood up there and tried to jump in would have got their ass whooped as well too. My mom was hell on wheels, straight up. She was not going to have you do nothing like that. And that's something that we missing with a lot of black men and black women as well too. You do some shit like that to one of my boys, I'm coming up there to that school and I'm going to grab a hold to you, straight up. You can call the cops, you can call the FBI, you call the CIA, you call whoever. I have bail money on hand too. But I'm going to drag you by your nuts, and I'm going to drag you all around that damn daycare. If you sitting up here, you talk about you going to gag a kid, a baby, because a 2-year-old is nothing but a damn baby. You're going to sit up here and please. It's definitely a new age and a new group of parents and stuff like that, because that just wasn't going to go down in the 80s. In the late 70s and stuff like that. It just wasn't gonna happen, straight up. Not without all hell breaking loose. You got it up, Mr. Engagement. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. I definitely want to respond to what you guys are talking about. One of the key elements that I see that has changed, because I was probably in the transition. I'm in my late 30s. So my take is about, like, towards the end of my high school career, they started instituting not security guards, but actually armed officers in the schools. That changes the perspective of parents of how they can retaliate against these teachers. Half of it is because of these school shootings, like because these little Gavin McGinnis white boys are shooting up these schools. That's the reason why they have majority of these officers up in there, quote unquote, so they say. But when we look at it further, I look at it as like a deterrence. So we can't retaliate against those that hurt and abuse our children. That's what I was more or less trying to present. That more or less that they're holding our children hostage for 8 hours, and we don't have any direct contact with our kids, and we're hoping for the best. I really think that we can do better, and I really think we should be doing better because our survival really depends on it.
Appreciate that. It's people have to work. People have to go to work. And like I say, I was fortunate for the situation that my mother had retired and she was able to watch my boys and stuff like that. And also my grandma was able to watch me, and my grandma watched a bunch of kids. She had a bunch of grandkids and stuff like that. You're able to save money and you have somebody that you trust with your kids or whatever. They're going to be okay. So, in that aspect, I think we were fortunate, we were lucky and stuff like that. But there are people who don't have that. They have to go ahead. Unfortunately, they're not making a whole lot of money. I know some people talk about daycare vouchers and this and that or whatever, but that doesn't always work out for people and stuff like that. So you have to, in order to provide for your kids, you have to go to work. No parent wants to just leave their kids, but they have to. You got to go ahead. You got to provide. You got to have a roof for them. You got to have food. You got to have clothes for them and everything else. So you have to go out there and work. So you're kind of at the mercy. And Professor's right, what Malcolm said, but unfortunately, we don't have that to the point that, we are being educated by people, who don't really have our best interests at hand. We're being educated by people. We're being fed by these same people. They're housing us. They're responsible for our health care and everything else. So until we go ahead and start to form things on our own, we're kind of at the mercy of these people. And I know nobody wants to hear that, but it would be interesting to see how we can go about, because we do need homeschooling. We do need our own teachers and stuff. I posted an article today that only 7%, I believe, of the teachers out there in the United States are Black. So only 7%. So that lets you know how little we're being educated by people that actually look like us. 7% of the teachers out there are Black. That's not a good ratio, man. That's not a good number. Mr. Engaging, go ahead and unmute your mic. And anybody else that wants to speak tonight, y'all go ahead, man, and raise your hands. Like I say, I definitely want to hear from the sisters tonight, if you can. So no taxation. I see you got your hand up. I'm gonna let Mr. Engaging, let me get the no taxation real quick, and then I'll come back to you. How you doing?
Wait. Was that to me, man? Or I'm sorry, my phone went out.
Yeah, let me get to no taxation, and I'm gonna come right back to you. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing this evening? You and Ray and DJ and the Newstoter family. I'm just so glad y'all here, and I'm glad I could come early. I wish I had caught your space yesterday. I was in there the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, that was a good space yesterday.
I know it was, and I had some hot tea about what's the name took that award. Her and her husband got that award. Y'all got mad. Child, she been reckless and loose sexually all her life. it was in the jet years ago. Her and that first husband, the football player, when they was down to Vegas, about to do that. But anyway, I'm gonna stay on topic. I want to tell you a story. How children can be traumatized. And y'all know I'm a woman of a particular age. It's my own personal story. When I went to the 2nd grade, okay, so we're going back. Oh Lord, I can't count them years, but it was a long time ago. Some of y'all weren't even born. I had a teacher, a white teacher. She was fat and she had short hair and it was red, and she hated me on sight because I was Black. And she put me in the back and all that kind of stuff, and I couldn't see. And my mother, because it was a new school for me, she got pencils for me, and it had my name on them, and I was so proud of those pencils. I really loved those pencils. And I was sitting in the back of the class where she put me, and she snatched them pencils out of her hand and threw them in the trash. And the big fat triangle pencils that they make the kids learn how to write with? She slammed that on the table. She said, "We don't use those pencils in this class. We use these pencils," and threw them pencils away that my mama gave me. Let me tell you how long. It was so long ago, and I still remember it. That's what trauma will do to a child. That was trauma with a big T for me. Okay. I was upset because she had slammed my pencils in the trash. So of course I went home. I didn't cry, but I went home and told my mom. I said she threw my pencils away. Well, I used to get real dramatic with my mama, and so that's when I cried and fell out and stuff, because I knew she'd take care of it. And she said, "Don't worry about it. You'll get your pencils back." That's all she said. Well, the next morning, my father used to leave work. By the time we got up, he was gone. For school, we get up for school. My dad was already out. And when I woke up the next morning, he was home. And he was dressed for work. And I said, well, that's my father's home. I couldn't put two and two together because I was just a little kid, And he said, come on, I'm going to take you to school. And my mother and my father got in the car with me. Took me to school. And that woman, the fat white Mrs. Callaghan, that's how long ago it was. I still remember her name. She was standing in the doorway of the classroom, and she had my pencils in her hand. And she said, here are your pencils. And then she looked at my mother, and she said, I'm sorry. And my mother said, you don't owe me an apology. You owe my daughter an apology. My mother made that fat white woman apologize to me. And my father looked at her and said, if my daughter has any more problems in this class, you won't be teaching anymore. Okay. See, she got a word from the principal of the school, because that's how my father worked. You talk to the decision maker, see. And so, of course, I didn't know nothing at that time. He said, and where is her new seat? And I was sitting in the front of the class. I got moved to the front of the class that day. So that day I had my pencils, and I was sitting in the front of the class. And to this day, if I sit in the class, I'm going straight to the front of the class because I feel like that's where I'm supposed to sit. Because that's, something I learned when I was in the second grade. But if I'm 67 now, and I was in the second grade, imagine what kind of trauma those children are going through. They will remember that for the rest of their lives. And if we don't get these Black parents out here to understand that, you may have to lose your job. You might have to be homeless. You might have to not eat. It's a lot of things you might not have to be able to do. But what you do have to do is care for your child at all costs. At all costs. There were times when I had to get off my job and go up to my son's school. Many, many, many times. And did I lose a job or two? Yes, because my son was more important. You can get another job, but you can't get another child. You can't replace children. And we've got to do this. Now, I'll tell you something about homeschooling and all that kind of stuff. And I had this idea years ago and tried to put it together. Folks weren't ready because I saw it coming. You don't have to, when they reach a certain age, of course, they have to be homeschooled until they reach a certain age. But I'm going to tell you somebody, and there are enough smart people out here to pull this thing together. All you have to do is get a teacher. Put the teacher on the internet and put your kids on the internet with that teacher. And let the teacher be monitored. You don't have to sit in your home anymore. Of course, when they're very young, you may have to do that. But you can do pods. And I'll tell you how I came up with that idea. My best friend, she has two children, and one was a little boy. He had ADHD, but we didn't know it at the time. And he had a Black teacher, and he wasn't in no grade. It was like pre-K. And he tore up her classroom. When I say tore it up, I'm talking about he tore it up. Never did take it out. And but the Black teacher worked with him. And after he tore up the classroom, when I tell you he tore it up, he threw all the papers, turned the bookcase over. Oh, he tore it up. She said to my friend, she said, you have to get him out of here. She said, because if you don't, they'll call the police on him. He's going into fourth grade now. Okay? So this is not something like, I think it was Black natives said it. They've been doing this. They did it when I was a little girl, and they're doing it now. And what we have to do as Black people in America, let me tell you what we got to do. Figure out something else. Watch them see. Listen, y'all think I'm playing now. But they headed to close the Department of Education K-12 down anyway. That's what Trump was doing. Ain't no money up there no more. That's why all these private schools is bouncing off like they do it. And people think that they can come in there and do what they want to do with the children. But they cannot. Not our kids. I don't know what they do. You know, they put handcuffs on that little white boy, so they checking for them too. They want children to get used to being locked up because we live in a prison state now. That's what it is. And it's not just for black folks anymore. And I'm mad because y'all talking about the kids. I might have to get on up out of here because, don't mess with the kids and don't mess with old people. Pick on somebody else's side, and I'm going to leave that there.
Real talk, no taxation, definitely. And I got to go ahead and get that get the actual Newstoter image to you guys as well too. So no taxation. We're gonna definitely be talking about the reparation march that's coming up in June as well too, y'all. So y'all definitely Marcel's supposed to be having a space, right? No taxation coming up in a couple of days on the actual reparations march.
On Wednesday, he's gonna have a space, but y'all get to find out who I really am, why I talk the way I talk. I have receipts put up there, and you're gonna find out really who I am. I'm gonna tell you something. I ain't never been scared of white folks in my whole life. That's why when Miss Callaghan snatched my pencils and put them in the trash, and I was in second grade, I did not cry. I wasn't raised to cry around white folks. See, so y'all will see. I don't be playing about who I am and how I love black people and the poor who do the black people. You'll see it on Wednesday. I'm inviting everybody to the spaces. Ask me anything you want to ask me. And if I can answer the question, I will answer the question. What I'm not going to do is slam people, slander people, and talk bad about people. So if you're fishing for something ugly, you're fishing in the wrong pond over here. You understand what I'm saying? So don't come with the bullshit. Let's come with something real this time. But I love y'all. Y'all know I love you now. I'm going to stop fussing. Old people fuss too much. I'm going to go sit down somewhere. That's it. Thank you, Newstoter.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. So thank you, sister, for stepping in and just sharing that with us as well, too. That's a history lesson. That's a lesson that a lot of our elders they went through. And we're going through it still right now too. So that means that we got to go ahead and we got to find a way so the next generation does not have to go through the exact same thing that 2, 3, 4 previous generations have gone through. So that's up to us to go ahead and try to figure this out as well too. So Mr. Engaging, are you ready? I'm gonna go ahead. Before I get to you, Mr. Engaging, real quick, y'all, up in the Jumbotron, we have the Newstoter YouTube channel as well as the actual newsletter. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to it. We're building up slow. We need more than just one person subscribing to that newsletter and that YouTube channel per night. So we need everybody that's up in this space right now. Take your time and go to the YouTube channel. And if you're not subscribed already, it's up in the Jumbotron. It should be like maybe the third or fourth one over, whatever. I think it's the third one over. Go ahead and the third one to the right. Go ahead and click on that and go right to the YouTube channel and subscribe right now. All my people that's following Newstoter on Twitter right now, go ahead and subscribe to the actual YouTube channel. You can subscribe to the newsletter whenever you get a chance, but please go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube channel. We're trying to grow that right now, so please help us grow it so we can go ahead and push this black content out there daily and get it to a larger mass of our people as well too. Also, if you can support us on Cash App, that's $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American media news curation platform today in America. So please, if you got $1 even that you don't mind donating or contributing, that would be greatly appreciated. Once again, that is $Newstoter. I will say that again, $Newstoter. If you don't have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal also up in the Jumbotron as well too. If you're on YouTube, we have the actual links to the actual Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal in the chat as well as in the actual description. Mr. Engaging, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I wanted to touch upon that blackface thing a little bit more. Like it's all around the world that contributes to the blackface situation. And I really think that this is the reason why we need to have reparations, so we can combat those type of injustice and those things that tarnish our image. And it's not just it's so crazy with the whole blackface thing. Like I'll give an example. One time I was a Lions Club member, right? they had clubs. That one club I called out for using blackface, and my thing was I was pushing this so far in advance. Like I wanted this club to be disbanded. But some of these cultures of these countries, like I don't think people really understand. Like these people have some really deep-seated anti-black behaviors, and like honestly, I'm totally about closing the borders, illegal and legal immigration. I don't want it because like unless Black American people or Negro American people are at the immigration line and pushing forth the type of criteria of citizens that we want, then we're going to always have these type of people that side against us. So I'm totally against immigration, especially if they harbor these type of sentiments in our community, especially it's our civil rights that are the reasons why that they're there. So I find that if it's because of us that put them there, it should be us to get them removed because it's not in our best interest from what I'm taking.
All right. Appreciate that, Mr. Engaging. Let me go ahead and kick it to Professor. Then Black Native, I know you had your hand up. Did you still want to speak as well, too? Because your hand now, if you want to speak, you can just put your hand up and I'll get to you as well, too. So we're going to go to Professor, then we're going to go to Black Native. Anybody else that wants to speak, just go ahead and raise your hand as well, too, y'all. Go ahead, Professor.
Yes, I just want to say, we're talking about preschool, but also, y'all, let's look at the fact that going beyond just the preschool, we're seeing these incidents happening in high school, junior high, middle school, whatever you call it. These incidents are happening all over. So I want you to understand, y'all, as these incidents are happening every day to our children, these are signs that they are trying to find ways to push out anyway. That's the bottom line. They don't want our children to be educated. They want them to be dumb. They want them to be traumatized. They just want them not to even be great citizens at all. That is. So as you go through and look at each one of these incidents that's happening in the middle schools, the high schools, the preschool, wherever it's at, they are showing you that they don't give a damn about your children no matter what age or what grade they are in. And look at the situation in the schools, y'all. Look at the funding. Right here in Alabama, most of your urban areas here in Alabama, the black population area, the schools are downtrodden. They look terrible. The football field got grass all up in it. You can't even see the lines, the football lines, the yard lines. You can't see them. That's how bad the shit looks. Outdated books that they give to you. Rooms filled with mold. Desks that are not comfortable for your students. All of the shit is just telling you that, hey, they're going to push you out. They're trying to push you out anyway. So basically, when I got up here earlier and said what Brother Malcolm X had told the people back then, we should have already been getting our kids away. Should have never even put them in there. That's what he was telling you, because they were never going to love your kids. They never was going to give any quality education to black children. They don't want black children to learn. They don't want black children to be comfortable in living. They want them to be traumatized. They want them to be sad. They want them to be miserable, just like they want all of us to be miserable, okay? So therefore, it's going to come down to you're going to have to pull your kids out anyway. That's what I'm getting at, family. And I know Ms. Giselle was talking about we got to find ways to deal with parents that are working, because we do know parents have to work. But unfortunately, Sister No Taxation already spelled it out for y'all. You might end up having to lose your job. You're going to have to pull the children out anyway, because they're going to push your children out. They're doing that through what they call benign neglect. I think we've been talking about that in these spaces, have we not? Look at the schools around you in all the urban areas, and you'll see that's what they're doing. I'm going to land my plane there.
All right. Thank you, Professor. Thank you as always. Let's go ahead and kick it to Black Native. Black Native, go ahead.
Yeah, school to prison pipeline. I mean, by the time, and they basically focus on young black boys. And I remember watching Vicky when she was on Fly Nubian Queens. I still watch it sometime, but she broke it down. And I think that she said when they are in the 4th grade, that's when they start to lose interest in schools, and it's done intentionally. It's done intentionally, and they focus on black boys. So, by the time they're in the 4th grade, they lose interest because they've been, pretty much probably shitting on through the school. Because they said black children are smarter than any other child. By the age of 2, if you really teach them, they can learn how to read and write and everything, and speak good English or whatever you're teaching them by the age of 2. But for some reason, when they get in the 4th grade, that's when they start to target them, and they're grooming them. They might come in there bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, educated, and then they start losing interest in school. They don't want to go to school anymore, and this is intentional. So during COVID, what were our children doing? They were at home, right? Every day, school wasn't open for 2 years, and they were teaching our children at home. And even then, they were getting caught up on saying racist shit on the web when they did. What were they doing? Like on the computer doing classes online. The teachers were getting caught out being racist then. And the parents was like, wait, hold on, what did you just say? Because the parents are home now. So I'm like, if all of this is going on online, you can imagine what's going down in the schools when the parents ain't around. But I think that's what we're going to have to do. And I don't see why we're not able to do that when we did it when COVID hit. So it can be done. And I just wanted to give a little story with, when I was in junior high school, we used to get bused. And we had to go through the Italian neighborhoods because I lived around Italians, and they would damn near turn the school bus over. One time they broke in the bus. These were grown-ass white people, Italians, beat us up. We was trying to kick out, go through the back of the school bus and break out through the emergency door in the back. But we used to get bused to school. It was like Everybody Hates Chris. So when I was watching that, it reminded me of myself. And I was in the 7th grade, and it was a white teacher. And I was like maybe 3 other black students in the class, and one of the girls was my friend. And the white teacher used to he was racist as fuck, disrespecting her, calling her ugly and all kind of mess. I was like, why are you talking to her like that? So me and him kind of got into words, me defending her, and he put his hands on me. So I'm in there fighting the teacher. My mother came up there. Unfortunately, my mother and father separated when I was like 5 or 6. So my mother came up to the school. I ain't going to tell you what she had, but she wasn't playing games. Just like you said with your mother. My mother's like, I wish you would. She older now. She could barely walk, but I guarantee you she would use that cane, and that cane would do some damage on somebody's kneecaps. And she fuck with me, her grandkids, or her great-grandkids. She don't play them games, and I don't either. And that's what we need to get back to. I don't get it. Like the brother said, yeah, they got they got guards in the schools because of so-called, the mass shooters. But that, anybody could get an ass whooping as far as I'm concerned, especially when you putting your fucking grubby hands on our children. Yeah, you can catch these hands. If you don't do that to your own white kids, don't do it to ours. And I land my plane.
Yeah, they're not gonna put hands on their own kids and stuff. They don't believe in spanking their kids and this and that or whatever. But you want to go ahead and put hands on other people's kids as well? Nah, I'm with you on that because my mom, she could barely walk at the end too, and she still was talking noise, had her walk and everything else too. So I definitely feel you on that one, Black Native.
That's my mother. She's the same way. But look, don't play with her though. She ain't playing with you.
Oh yeah, still talking noise at the very end. Like, okay. Hey, Miss Giselle, I be trying to retweet your stuff up, but I think you have yours on the protected tweets, protected, so I can't retweet it. I can comment and like it, but I can't retweet your actual content out.
I know. I do it like I do the public stuff when I'm posting a space so people can come in, but I like to keep my space safe and unbothered. So I gotta go back to like I'll lock my page after when I'm not hosting spaces, but I open it up when I am. But I'll if you click on the links, you can actually just share it like that. That's probably how you can do it.
Okay.
But what Black Natives said, that genocide, they actually do a focus. A guy here in Baltimore, well, he revealed to a friend of mine who was mentoring him that cell number was the same number in school. So that was kind of like triggering to me. I'm like, why would they do that? But he said it was the same number because all of the kids get a number in school. And they would take the same number from school and they would, like, he went to jail. The boy went to jail, like around 16, 17. And he told that to his mentors. He said, I got the same number for when I was in school. That's my cell number. Or whatever code. So everybody get their own cell number. But I wanted to say it is a huge thing. Like where they try to focus on their kids. I have a son who was diagnosed allegedly with ADHD, but ADHD and dyslexia. And I was one who had to make that choice. This is why I can kind of, like, just speaking from the experience, the cut is real. Like, especially when you have the money and you're like, I gotta make a decision because I'm not one to put poison in my kids. So they said I had to either give my kids the medicine or it was like, I can see when your son grow up, you're going to have to deal with it. Like, you see all of these shootings and stuff. They tried to scare me into, this is teachers and the doctors trying to scare me into giving my son this medicine. So I said I had to step off. I left one of my favorite jobs. I just really got back into my career field. None of my kids are older, but I did not give my son that medicine. He had 2 weeks. His father was like, let's just try for 2 weeks. If you're asthmatic, you got to take asthma medicine. 2 weeks. My son is not no crying. This medicine had my son like crying. I barely even gave it to him then. So I was like, oh, heck no. I was like, I'm not giving that to my child. So I was like, what's the alternative? And the doctor said it's going to be something that you are not going to want to do. And she told me, she said, you're going to have to quit your job. My hours was not like anything because I work in the field that I work in. You can't, like, it's a lot of stress and it's a lot of time. So especially if you want to make the money. So what I ended up doing, I ended up leaving the job. I found another job, took a pay cut doing that job. Then I left to a whole position I didn't even want to do. I started teaching. I started creating my own, like, businesses, something that I could structure around him. But like I told his father, I was like, look, I'll do the educating at home. So he would go to school, and then he would come home. Each one of my kids, I did an hour or two. We only did it Monday through Friday. And his father did sports. So while he was like, I'm going to exert him. Like, he had him in every sport from soccer, basketball, and he was the one that was doing the coaching. So long story short, my son went from, like, because we couldn't figure out why he couldn't, get the reading portion done. So, but it was dyslexia. So after we found out what the problem was, we started working towards fixing him with that problem. He went from the second grade reading level up to a sixth grade reading level when we finished with him in the fifth grade. And then we had, we finished in the fifth grade. That was over a couple of years. We held him back a year. So he's in a grade less than he's a twin. So he's my youngest twin. And he actually, now he's an honor roll student. He already done dropped the album. This boy got a business, get ready to have a whole fashion show here in Baltimore in August. and he got his own business. Him and his little girlfriend, honor roll student, plays sports, and not only that, we looking at like getting some scholarships when he get into college right now. So I think what you put in is important, but it's not like when I tell you it's easy to say, hey, make that sacrifice. Because it was nights I was like, this shit is fucked up. I'm like, how am I gonna pay this bill? It gets real, and people, and it is stressful. I remember when my son came home, and we both cried together because we held him back. He didn't have to stay back. They was gonna push him through the system and allow him to fail out. But we was like, no, we're gonna redo it. But it was only the second grade. But his friends teased him in school that day. So he came home. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and he woke me up and he just started talking. So you know how I'm a mother all day, and like he just bust out crying. So he made me cry. It was like a hard time. I was like, oh, we're gonna be good. We're gonna push through this, and don't worry about what those kids say, because me and Daddy are the ones who said we were gonna give you a second chance to do the second grade again, and it's not because of anything that you did wrong, It's because we want to make sure you understand what the teacher is teaching you, but we're going to help you along the way. Long story short, we inserted a lot of confidence in him. By the end of that school year, he was already like nobody could say anything to him because we inserted that confidence. But at the same time, it takes a lot of these. A lot of people not willing to let go. Like they still trying to find men out there. They're not going to sacrifice because I sacrificed dating because I didn't I'm like, you can't interrupt. You interrupt. You only got 18 years to raise your kids. So whatever you don't put in those 18 years, you're going to be doing that shit for the rest of your life. And I kept saying that to myself because I'm like, dang, it's like I can't do anything. But that's on the selfish side. But then even when I started, like even as a parent, I'm like, I'm not gonna not do this. I have to do this. This isn't even an option. So we just created things to make the situation work, and now you see the fruit from the labor. But looking at a lot of these people out here, you working 2 and 3 jobs. Because I remember I would wake up on the steps, okay, cleaning up, feeding kids, tutoring 3 hours a day, working 2 and 3 jobs. And still having to figure out how to make things work. Still having to go up to the school, check on the kids, and do all of that type of stuff. It's a real sacrifice. And a lot of people not built like that. So I'm like, I don't even think half of the time I was. It was a lot of the Lord. Just put it like that. And the village around me. But I land by saying it is going to take, we do need like a structure that we can put together to get parents. Maybe it's like, just come together with it's a collective and put together fuel a fund for education. That's always an option, but we gotta have something to start with first, at least a tutoring program. And I'll land.
All right, thank you, appreciate that, Miss Giselle. Liv, I know you had your hand up a second ago. Did you still want to talk, or what's that? Living about. Did you want to say something?
Hey man, hey Newstoter.
Oh, what's up? That's Shantae.
Newstoter is always a pleasure to hear from you. So I want to shout out to everybody in the room.
What's going on, Shantae?
Nothing. I agree with everything that everybody's saying on here. Only thing I wonder is what the hell happened to us? Like when we used to have communities and families and we stuck together, I still got that shit deep down inside of me. And that's something that always, even if I got to lose my little security job, I don't give a fuck. I want to be able to take care of my grandchild so my daughter can move and do what she got to do. Like I'm family orientated. So the things that y'all talking about, like far as school and somebody coming to take a pencil, I do remember plenty of times going up to a school to where as though the dude, some African teacher, teaching my daughter math, and she could barely understand his damn English. And then he was just kept bringing me up into you gotta come here, because your daughter, she's not doing good. And then when I would sit up there having a conversation with him, I could barely understand one word that came out of his mouth.
I had to be like, okay, tell my daughter, come on, let's go. Even with my son went to Cicely Tyson. What's that chick name on Power? Tasha. My son used to go to that school, Cicely Tyson. And the security guard up there had his chest all bold, like he wanted to be able to, like he didn't achieve what he actually wanted to achieve when he was younger, so he took it out on the younger kids. When I tell you I went through some things, And now I have a grandchild out here. I refuse to keep letting that happen to my family. Did I pick to do this job? No. Do I love my family and do anything for them? That's without a heartbeat. As soon as my heartbeat, that's what I'm supposed to do. So, it's a great conversation, and it's good to be around people who feel the same way that I do. And I thank y'all. Because I thought that everybody lost it. And that's what made me wonder, like, what the fuck happened to us? It ain't really nothing happened to us. Shit. We still here. We just got to be able to weed out fucking snakes. Look, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I'd rather sit around poor people than sit around a whole bunch of snakes. I'm going to land on that.
All right, Shante. It's been a little minute since we had you up in the space. You changed profiles, it seemed like all the time. So I didn't even know that was you right there. But I'm glad to hear from you tonight, sister. Let me go ahead and kick it to original.
Hey, I think what has to happen is I know there's two books that I have referenced people over the years who have children. And the one is by Dr. Amos Wilson, the Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. And he would break this stuff down as to how, it's like someone said previously about how black babies are smarter than white babies, and they obtain their motor skills and everything way before those the white kids do. And it's documented that white people know this. This is why they continue to attack our children in these schools. They're trying to break their spirit so that they're not interested in learning and whatever. And so, you know, and there's another book, although not this one, like I say, sometimes we have to kind of, you know, look beyond, but it's called Holistic Parenting from the Pan-African Perspective. And it was a sister that wrote that book. And so I would just say some of the ones, and there was another sister when I was in California, her name, she transitioned several years ago, but her name was Dr. Mary Morgan Smith. And she had a book, and I don't have her book, but it was called Parenting by Rhyme and Reason. And she talked about how you really didn't have to spank your child if you just effectively communicate with the child. But she said she had several cases with a little boy, they were just basically out of control. And by the time they had a few sessions with her, with the parent, the children, they were just like any other child. But they just needed, you know, specific guidance and things of that nature. But I think that we're going to have to start doing things in a manner whereby we should be the primary educators of our children. Because you have some, and see, I think what happened is this. There's a brother, he used to be on the radio here. He wasn't like a specific host, but he was working with this other host. And he shared with us one day, he said that he did not learn anything about Black history until he got to college. That his parents, both of them are well educated, but unfortunately they did not give their children the history of that's who they are. He said before he got to college, said he barely knew about the civil rights movement. And that's sad. And I think what is happening is you have a large number, I'll just say a number of Black people who have decided that they want to try to just totally assimilate with evil. and not understanding, uh, what's curtailed with this evil that they are trying to assimilate with. Because I don't know if you all remember, there was some type of something about black children that was, I mean, not black children, but black people. With CNN did something. And one of the things that they showed was these well-to-do black people. They were sending their son to this private school, and I think there was, I forget, I know it was $15,000. I think it was $15,000 a year or whatever. It could have been every 3 months. I don't know. I can't remember. But then they talked about the racism that the child had to. I'm like, you are paying that kind of money, and your child is your child has to go through this. This is insane. But see, they've been taught that if you want the better education, you need to go over here with these evil white people. And and I just think that it's like you said, Newstoter. Like when I was coming up, we had older, retired women in the community. They would keep children, and while the parents went to work, and and everybody was happy. But I think what happened is they saw that those women were making a little money, and it was helping out the young mothers and things of that nature. And all of a sudden, they started doing things where you have to be certified to keep children. If you keep, depending on the number of children that you're keeping, you have to be certified by the state. See, anything that we do that's community oriented, let's say family oriented, they want to destroy it. And that's just who these people are. We have no friends, as Dr. Clark taught us. And I just think that people, we need to look at some of our scholars and what they have done, and how and how things work, when we did things the old way. Because it's like Dr. Bobby Wright, and he wrote that book, Psychopathic Racial Personality. And these people are psychopathic. And I'm gonna keep saying this. There isn't any hope for white people. And our best bet is to segue ourselves as much as possible away from these evil folks. I mean, it is so bad that black elected officials will come to a community meeting and try to push these fools off on you. That's just how bad it is. I mean, these people are sick, and some of these black folks are sick. Whatever these white folks are doing, they think that that's what we should. No. We are not them. And I keep telling people, I don't care what anybody say. White people didn't come from us. I mean, I understand how when you, like in the wintertime, we get lighter. I understand about I understand some about the melanin and all of that, but there isn't any way that we could these people came from us, and that we could devolve to be such evil. I'm just not buying. I know there's some other scientific information that goes along with it, but I just can't go along with that, because this is just pure evil, and there's no other way to look at it. But I would suggest to people to start, because I got to see if I can find this site, and I have to reference this site at another time. But there was a site I found years ago, and I was helping people to get information for their children's education. But the site was out of Florida, and it covered from first grade up until, I think it went from first to 12th grade. But it had all this information from mathematics to English, and I think it even had some science stuff. But it was information that you could use to educate your children. And the people I shared it with, they said, "Wow, this worked really well." And I think we just got to take the reins and just decide. And I think for the most part, what has happened is, see, a lot of us got a so-called education, and see, we were always taught you want to move away from where you grew up, and start, because see, there was there was a guy that called into the radio station here years ago, and he was talking about how he had to take his mother all the way over here to go grocery shopping and stuff like that. So the host asked me, he said, well, listen, I mean, no, the female, she said, listen, she said, well, why didn't you and your friends that went to college, why didn't you all move back to the neighborhood to help maintain the neighborhood? He got silent. And I think what it is that so many people have been brainwashed thinking that they got to move out to be around white people, and that's where that's where all the good stuff is. But that's not actually true, because see, when you move, as Dr. Claude Anderson taught us, when you move in and when you get like above like 10%, they leave. Because I know this person that bought a house in Gwinnett County. And they said, yeah, when I first moved in, it was nice to have all these little shops and eateries and this, that, and whatever. I said, yeah, but see, what happened is, and they looked at me with that side eye. I said, what happened is, when y'all black folks moved up in that joint, and when you got over 10%, they moved, and the people that had those businesses, they moved to where they moved to, because in their mind, they didn't come here to have businesses in your community. They going with the white folks. And unfortunately, too many black folks don't understand that. So I think once people begin to understand, it's like there may have to be something whereby parents come together, whereby if one or two parents are going to work, then one or two parents are having doing the education out of their home or whatever. But we got to figure out something to take care of these children, because black children are the future. And I don't care what anybody say, but we have to figure this thing out and make it work. We cannot continue to go through this, because this is harming the children more than anything else, because they're going to be here after we're gone, and they don't need to have to go through this, try to figure it out all over again. And I'll land with that.
All right, Original. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for once again coming up, delivering some well-needed advice there. And I definitely agree with what you're saying. I guess we'll go ahead and close the space out for the night, y'all. We won't be too long tonight. We were a little bit longer last night, so we'll go ahead and get ready to close it out. We'll be back tomorrow night, definitely 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll go ahead and let you guys enjoy a little bit of your night. Check out some other spaces that may be going on as well, too. Don't forget, March 1st, I believe you have the No Taxation and Marcel space. They're going to be talking about the Reparations 23. So you guys make sure you check that out. I just went ahead and I retweeted that out as well, No Taxation. So Ray, DJ, you guys want to get something in before we go ahead and close it out for the night?
Good, man. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right, y'all. It's nasty out here. Go home because the weather's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Newstoter out, man.
All right, y'all. On that note, we'll go ahead and see you guys tomorrow night. Y'all be easy. Take care of yourself. Be safe, and we'll see you tomorrow night. So thank you guys for stopping by. We'll check you guys out tomorrow.
Peace, peace.